Hello and welcome to This Week in Ocean City, the interview. This is our new series here at oceancity.com. I'm Logan Dubel. We're bringing you the insider stories and reflections from some of the people and places who, of course, make this resort vibrant each and every year. Thanks for joining us last week for our first conversation with Susan Jones. If you didn't catch that episode, be sure to go back and check that out on our channel. But today we are joined by the guest of all guests, that is Mayor Rick Meehan, who, of course, presides over the town of Ocean City. The mayor has served in this current role since 2006. He's been part of the city government for decades when he was first elected to the city council, and he's lived here for more than 50 years. Mr. Mayor has, of course, become synonymous with Ocean City as its spokesperson and continues serving the community year after year, all of these decades, promoting tourism and, of course, addressing all the different issues that we face. Mayor Meehan, thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Logan. Thank you for the great introduction.
Of course. So let's chat a little bit about summer 2023, because we are quite a bit into the tourism season, about a month at this point. When we chatted with Susan Jones last week, she mentioned that things felt a little bit more normal after the peaks during the post-COVID years, and just obviously the town is pretty weather dependent. So just tell me what's new and exciting this year and how things are looking so far.
Well, we're excited to be, in the summer of 2023, and I think the summer's going very well. We've had some bumps along the way, particularly because of the weather. It hasn't been very consistent. We've had a lot of northeast winds and some storms, so that's curtailed tourism just a little bit. But I think everybody is ready to be here. I know today I look outside how crowded Ocean City is as we get to go into the holiday weekend. So it's going to be a big weekend, and I look for the summer 2023 to equal, if not exceed, our expectations.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about some of the issues that we're dealing with right now. And we're chatting right now on the eve of a big change in Maryland, and that is the cannabis or marijuana legalization, which is coming July 1st. Ocean City has made very clear it's going to remain prohibited in the resort as we continue to promote a family-friendly atmosphere. Even this week, the city council passed a moratorium on the sale and processing of cannabis in city limits. Tell me a little bit about why it's important for you all to maintain this position, even as this change happens at the statewide level.
Yes, and it's a result of a referendum that took place last fall, where overwhelmingly these voters in Maryland voted to legalize recreational marijuana, and we understand that. We just want to make sure that that legalization and starting July 1st, everything comes and falls within the scope of the law. That's our biggest concern. And I'm a little confused that I'm not concerned. I'm confused that the state really hasn't gotten out a lot of information about what actually happens on July 1st. And starting July 1st, it is legal for an adult over the age of 21 to possess up to 1.5 ounces of cannabis or marijuana, however you want to term it. But it still is not legal to smoke in the general public areas. So it's not legal to smoke marijuana on the beach, on the boardwalk, in any parks, any public areas, any businesses. It's not like all of a sudden you could just walk down the boardwalk and smoke cannabis or marijuana, however you want to term it. So that has us concerned. We have a smoke-free beach and boardwalk to begin with, but we want to maintain that, and we want to do whatever we can do to educate the public and to remind the public and to remind all those that just might not be sure what the law, allows them to do. That this is what the law is, and this is what you have to do. It's here, and it's going to stay. So we're going to do our very best to mitigate it as best as we can here in the town of Ocean City.
And tell me a little bit, just one more thing on that topic. Tell me a little bit about, from the police department perspective. I know they've been working hard on making sure that come July 1st and really even into the lead up, that there is messaging out there to make people understand a little bit about what might be different in Ocean City. Tell me a little bit about, and as you mentioned, it is a little confusing, what enforcement of this new referendum really looks like, especially in Ocean City.
Again, that's going to be difficult. There wasn't a lot of time to prepare for this. I mean, it was really only signed into law by the governor May 3rd or May 5th. I can't remember which. So the police department's going to be challenged. There are fines for smoking marijuana, and we will issue those fines. But I think what we're going to try to do in the interim is, remind people, warn people, let people know what the law is, try to work our way through it, hopefully with little resistance. And hopefully those that, understand the law or are told what the law is will comply. That's what it's all about. We're going to be seeking compliance. If we can do that, that'll be a great accomplishment. But it is going to be confusing when this weekend we have over 300,000 people in town. Probably half of those visitors come from areas where recreational marijuana is not legal. So they're going to be confused, maybe why action isn't taken in certain situations. So we're just going to have to work our way through that. We ask for the public support, and it is going to be challenging, but we're going to do our very best to maintain our standards here in Ocean City.
Exactly. And, as you mentioned, we'll have to see how it plays out on both the statewide level, and it's going to be different in every single town. That's why town of Ocean City is able to take that action, and we'll see how things play out. Moving on a little bit to another topic that we chatted a bit earlier about this summer is offshore wind development. It's been a hot topic, a little bit more so in New Jersey and further along the East Coast, where there have been, unfortunately, a ton of unexpected and unclear whale deaths, the whales that have washed ashore on the ocean and on the coast, especially, as I mentioned, up there towards New Jersey. Experts say it's not tied to offshore wind development, and we'll leave that there. But nonetheless, you've mentioned to me and emphasized really over the past few years that a lot of the different federal and state agencies and leaders just haven't listened to local leaders like you when it comes to this issue, especially when we're talking about how close these turbines might be to the shore. Tell me a little bit about, for people who aren't familiar, your local perspective on this issue and why they should care.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think our concerns at local levels and local government officials have been ignored. And I've been in contact with the mayors throughout the Jersey coast and some of the county commissioners, and we share the same opinion and the same concerns about where these turbines are going to be located, and also how they do have effects on the environment, whether it be the whales, the horseshoe crabs, the commercial fishermen, recreational fishermen. And it just seems that those that are pushing this forward have blinders on, and they're just not paying attention to anything that's brought up about the consequences of these turbines being built so close to shore in the Atlantic. We're extremely concerned about our view shed. We're faced with the possibility or the probability under the current formula that we're going to have turbines as close as 11.9 miles from our shoreline. These turbines are 940 feet tall, 4 times the height of the tallest building in Ocean City. And they really are going to destroy the pristine horizon off the coast of Ocean City forever. Now, we do support clean energy, and I think it's been misrepresented. We support clean energy. We support the governor's initiatives. We support the Clean Energy Act and the Power Act that will pave the way for future wind areas to be developed further offshore, which shows it can be done. We support all those things. We support the investment in the inner harbor, the jobs that are created, and all the revenue that will come into the state. The thing that's important to understand is all of those things will still be accomplished if the turbines are moved further to the east. Nothing will change. And that's what's frustrating. Nobody seems to be listening.
And as you mentioned, there are lots of environmental concerns. And again, the people who we've talked to, as we've reported on this, have said all the research has been done. We've researched so much on this, no more can be done. And they're confident that, at least in terms of the whales, that there isn't an impact there. But as you mentioned, for you, it's really more so just about the distance and not feeling heard on that. Tell me a little bit. We've heard people say, the lease area is the lease area. This is what we have to do. What do you say to them if they're saying this is the lease area, we can't really move it at this point?
Well, those lease areas were basically established quite a few years ago. You're going back to the 10 or 12 to 12 years ago. And we first brought this up about 6 years ago when we first saw the renderings of what these turbines would look like. And at that time, They were only about 450 feet tall, and now they've grown to 950. You know, what happened is the lease areas got developed and they've remained consistent, but the size of the turbines have grown dramatically. So that has changed the equation as how they affect the shoreline and the view shed off of our coast. I do believe that if the state and the federal government work together, they could come up with a way to move some of these lease areas. The Clean Energy Act and the Power Act already, which were passed by the Maryland legislature, look towards developing additional leased areas further offshore, east of the shipping lanes. So I think the precedent has been set. I think it might take some time, but you know what? We're only going to get one chance to get this right, and this is our chance.
And one last question for you on this. There was an op-ed, I believe, in the Baltimore Sun dating back to this February, and they talked a lot about some of the different concerns that have existed in Ocean City and criticized the fact that the view of many local leaders is really centered around, as you mentioned, the waterfront view that exists for people all along the Maryland Ocean City coast. Tell me a little bit to how you would respond to those critics and say that, you know, even though it might seem a little bit naive that it's just the view that you're concerned about, that's important to people in Ocean City.
Well, it is, and it's important to our residents, our 26,000 non-resident property owners, to our tourists. You know, there was a study done in North Carolina, in the North Carolina beaches, and it was probably the most relevant study because they actually only included individuals who had rented beachfront property, not somebody that lived in Arizona that had never been here. And when they did that, 50% of those interviewed said if those turbines were visible to any degree offshore, they would not return. And I think that that really says something right there. And again, you know, that has been ignored. You know, the Baltimore Sun, you know, I know that I've kind of been the guy they've been stomping on for quite a while about this, but you know what? They won't recognize the fact that if they're moved further to the east, every single thing that the Baltimore Sun supports with regard to the impact and the advantages of creating energy, jobs, and investments would still happen. That's the bottom line.
And it's certainly nuanced. So we'll continue to see what happens. And I think as of our last reporting, it seemed as if some of these could be built and up and going as soon as either 2025 or 2026. So certainly getting time sensitive, and we'll have to see what happens. But thanks for answering those questions. Moving on a little bit to something that in its name is a little bit brighter, is the Somewhere to Smile About campaign here in Ocean City. This is, and we see the smiley face right behind you with the new
Yeah.
logo. Tell me a little bit about this new campaign. We know it was a long time in the making with obviously Tom Perlazzo and his new role over the last few years at City Hall. Tell me a little bit about, now that we've got the branding in full swing and continuing to roll out all across the summer and really across the region with advertisements everywhere. Tell me about some of the returns that you're starting to see.
Yeah, I think it's the recognition of the logo and being able to identify it with the beach here in Ocean City and with Ocean City, Maryland. You know, there's a lot of beaches out there, and they put out a lot of pictures of their beautiful beaches of their town. When we include the logo, it really helps to identify that it's Ocean City, Maryland. And it's all about the campaign slogan, which is somewhere to smile about. And I think that if you ask our visitors or you ask people that been to Ocean City or live in Ocean City, they can all tell you the reasons they smile when they're here at the beach. So I think it's very aggressive. I think that you'll see it everywhere. You know, we've put the logo on all of our Jeeps that drive the boardwalk tram. It's on the water towers. If you go to the Baltimore Oriole games, you're going to see it. If you go to other sporting events, you're going to see it. And I think it's just that repetition to get people to look at that and kind of smile and think about Ocean City. I think it started off very well. We had a great kickoff with this. And I think you're going to see that this campaign, this logo, and the slogan Somewhere to Smile About is just going to continue to grow here in Ocean City.
And tell me a little bit, you've seen a lot of branding campaigns over your time in Ocean City. Tell me a little bit about what makes this one a little bit more targeted and a little bit more different.
Well, I think just the terminology, somewhere to smile about. I think everybody can relate to this at every age. kids. You could show the kids on the beach, they're smiling. It's obvious that they can relate to what that logo and what that slogan is. We did the Rodney the Lifeguard campaign for about 10 years. It was extremely successful. Rodney was getting a little old to be a lifeguard, so we had to punt and go to something else. But, everybody knew who Rodney was. And when they saw an ad or they saw a billboard with Rodney, they knew it was Ocean City, Maryland. That's what the Smile Somewhere to Smile About campaign is. We want people to know when they see that, they can smile and think about Ocean City, Maryland.
Perfect. And we'll definitely continue. I know I was reading even this week that some statistical returns should be coming in soon to the town as well, like on exactly how many tourists it's bringing in. So it'll be interesting to see those. Let's shift gears a little bit to you and your
Oh,
long time career. You're in Ocean City. I remember when we chatted a few years ago, I was looking back, you told me your first job was actually at the Funcade on the boardwalk. And you told me a little bit about your first trip to Ocean City at the Commander Hotel in 1962. And then you moved here full time, you said, in 1971. My favorite thing you told us back then was, and even though it's a little bit of a cliche, it's so true with Ocean City, is the town grew, we grew with it. And I think that's really the character and all everybody needs to know about Ocean City. Tell me a little bit, just looking back, and would you have expected to, all these years later, still be here in Ocean City and now really representing the town to the whole region?
no, I never would have dreamed that was what was going to happen as I came here in the mid '60s. And you said good memory, and you said I worked on the boardwalk at the Funcade for 6 years, all the way through high school and college. And as soon as I graduated from college, I moved to Ocean City, and I just knew this is where I wanted to be. And I'd met an awful lot of friends here in Ocean City, and they had the same desires to be at the beach and they saw a lot of opportunity. We all did. To start businesses, which many of my friends did and still in business today. And we really wanted to be part of this community. We saw great opportunity. The local residents, when we moved here early in the '70s, they were gracious. They were welcoming to us. They saw that we were a group that really wanted to be part of their community and work hard to make it even better. And I've been very proud to be part of that. Never anticipated being where I am today, but I've got the best job in the world. I'm the mayor of Ocean City, Maryland, and I get to relate to all of our residents and throughout the town on a yearly basis and welcome our visitors and be a spokesperson for something that's so easy to talk about. So I'm very proud to be mayor. And like I said, I never would have thought about it, but it couldn't have worked out any better.
And tell me a little bit about in all these years as mayor, and then also dating back to your time with the city council. Tell me a little bit about what you would say some of your proudest accomplishments over the last few decades have been in Ocean City, and something that you feel like really made a difference.
Well, I think that, we were able to keep the town moving forward. And a lot of people moved to Ocean City right around the time I did and after that. And they were moving here, retiring here. We had our business community, and we were able to keep everybody together. There wasn't, we didn't create animosity between the different entities. We were able to really all work together because we're proud of Ocean City and we wanted to succeed. And that wasn't easy to do, but I'm very proud we were able to do that. And we were able to do some great things. I first served, and Mayor Powell was Fish Powell was the mayor, great mayor. And we were able to secure the beach replenishment project in the early 1990s, which really secured our beach, and made sure that it was going to always be here for our visitors and our residents. That was a tremendous accomplishment. We've been able to expand our convention center and expand our Northside Park, all of our amenities, and we've been able to work with the community to rebuild our community. Some resort communities got old all at once. We were able to continue to work to rebuild, modernize our community, to see new hotels, new condominiums, things people were looking for, while at the same time following our number one priority, which is public safety and keeping Ocean City safe for our residents and visitors. So it's a team effort. Tremendous employees that work for the town of Ocean City. I've served with some great mayors and some great people on the city council, and our citizens are the best. So it's a perfect combination for success, and I've been very happy to be part.
And you talked a little bit about Fish Pal. I know we've talked about Harry Kelly as well before in the past. Tell me a little bit, just some of your favorite memories of working with these sort of Ocean City Titans over the years, and some of your favorite memories, even going back to maybe a city council meeting or something that you worked on together.
That would be hard. Harry Kelly was he was a different individual. He was bold and brash, and you never told Harry Kelly what he couldn't do. You've all seen the pictures before we had beach replenishment. He got in an argument with the Army Corps about protecting the beach and building jetties, and he got out there in a bulldozer, which he called Bully, and he's out there on the beach in a bulldozer. I don't know what he planned to do with the bulldozer with the entire beach, but there was Harry Kelly. And he was really the heart and soul of Ocean City during his reign as mayor. When Harry Kelly unfortunately passed away, Fish Powell was elected, and I was elected the same year that Fish Powell was. And Fish was the type of mayor that could really keep the town together. He was the type of mayor that had great relationships and great respect in Annapolis. I learned an awful lot from Fish Powell about how to be mayor. And it was through his relationships in Annapolis that we were able to get everybody together at the federal and state level to secure the beach replenishment project, to get everybody together so that we could expand our convention center. And I learned from Fish the way to do that is to develop good relationships. He was a great mayor. Tell you what, though, you sat there at the meetings with him. He said something he didn't agree with sometime. Boy, he was quick to let you know, and he did that to me more than one occasion. But I served as council president while he was mayor, so we had a great working relationship.
And tell me a little bit about, we talked a lot about the past of Ocean City. Tell me a little bit, you mentioned beach replenishment, staying young, keeping the town moving forward, and really remaining relevant across the region is the destination. Tell me a little bit about moving into the next 5-10 years. What is really the next generation of Ocean City tourism look like, and how does that change, and how do we get there?
That's a good question. I think we rely so much on tradition that we have to make sure that we can maintain, our tradition, our values, our family values, and make sure that some of those traditions that people come here for every year are maintained, while at the same time adding new things. You're going to see new restaurants, new businesses all the time. We want to make sure that the pier at Jolly Roger and Trippers Rides continue to succeed. They're the backbone of what our boardwalk is all about. We just replaced our entire boardwalk, to make sure that it was safe and, ready for the next group of tourists that come this year. And I think you're going to see us continue to move in that direction. We're gonna rely on tradition, but we're going to be very proactive about what we think should be part of us in the future. We think sports tourism and bringing people to Ocean City for sporting events, to participate in team events, to build a sports complex and really develop sports tourism. We'd like to be the sports tourism capital of the state of Maryland. We watch people out on the beach, 400 teams playing beach soccer. We watch the basketball and volleyball events come to town, the USSA softball events, bringing so many young adults and players and their families. We really think that's part of our future, and that's going to be one of the emphases that we really prioritize moving forward.
And tell me a little bit, wrapping up, a lot of people will say you've been in city government for so long, you've been in Ocean City for so many years. What motivates you to continue serving as mayor after all these years?
I think the fact that everybody works together, and we continue to strive forward for success. I love the relationship with our city government, our employees, our citizens. I remain very active in our community. I think I know the pulse of the community. I know the residents, and I'm always available. I'm somebody that has great work ethic. I just like to be busy, and being able to do this. And I've created and really following Fish Pal, some great relationships throughout the state at the Maryland Municipal League level and the county level and the state level. And that's really, I think, important for the mayor to be able to do. And as long as we all work together and I can keep smiling and make sure Ocean City is somewhere to smile about, nothing's forever, but it's something I certainly enjoy doing.
And last question for you. In 10 years, how would you want people to look back and view your legacy as mayor, and also as someone who, again, as we've said, has served in the city government for so many decades?
Well, I've never really thought about that. But you know, I think that I think that I would hope that they look at Ocean City and they're proud of where Ocean City is 10 years from now. And they look back at some of the people, you know, just not myself, but the Harry Kellys, the Fish Pals, the Jim Mathiases, the members of the council that all were part and parcel of making that happen. And they realized that there was a great path set in place. And if they follow that path, we'll continue to be a successful, vibrant community.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us, Mayor Meehan. We appreciate it. And we will be back with more conversations in the coming weeks here on oceancity.com.
Logan, thank you very much for the opportunity.